usually when I do my little, well, hey, now we're live. Classic.
Oh,
Hey, everybody. It's Tanya here. Welcome to another episode of The Artful Desk. And today our featured artist is Melissa Sly. And if you haven't seen Melissa on Substack yet, I highly suggest you go and check out her profile. She does amazing drawings. They have this beautiful light and whimsical feeling, and I really, really enjoy them. And Melissa, thank you for joining me today to chat about your workspace, your art supplies, and some of the work that you've been doing.
thank you so much for having me. And apparently my cat, Sunshine, you'll see her.
Hey,
You'll see her come in and out.
give her a little cameo.
I know.
There she is. A marmalade. I love marmalades. So sweet. So, for anybody that doesn't know you, why don't you share a little bit about who you are and what you do and where they can find your work?
Oh, all right. So, yeah, my name's Melissa. A lot of my friends call me Mel. I basically am kind of a newbie artist, but if you asked friends, they would be like, "No way, you've been an artist your whole life." I started working on crafty things when I was a kid, and then I did a lot of ceramics before I had kids myself. So I've always been pretty artsy, and just recently been more drawn to drawing and watercolor paints just because it's easy. I live in a small 2-bedroom apartment and I can do it right here in a small space, whereas ceramics require a lot of space.
They definitely do.
Yeah, so I don't get to do ceramics anymore, really. Maybe in the future, but right now, not so much.
Can you tell us a little bit about your current setup, what you would call your workspace, and sort of the way that you've got it set up to do the art that you love to do?
Sure, yeah. So, like I said, I live in a small space. I have 3 other humans that live with me and my cat Sunshine, who you saw earlier. And so basically my workspace is my coffee table or my kitchen table. I also have, we also have a little bistro table in our living room because we are whimsical over here. But right now, the space that I would work at with the bistro table is still being taken up by my Christmas tree. So I haven't actually gotten quite to that part of taking it down yet. So I haven't really been hanging out there too much, mostly on my couch with my coffee table, which is where I am right now, my couch.
I got to say, little hands up to anybody watching or on the replay. If you are like us and you still have your tree out, drop a comment below.
Yeah, for sure.
Got to enjoy the pretty for a while, right?
Right. I mean, I've been known to leave it up till March, maybe, but we haven't changed. I did take the boxes out to put the ornaments away. So there's that step is already there.
Just like looking at it. It's my emotional support Christmas tree.
Oh, and it's so nice. I mean, the lights are really nice at night. You don't have to put any other lights on. It's very cozy.
And I like
I'm an advocate for, Christmas trees all year round.
Okay, I have to ask you a art-related question. So, right now, what are your current favorite art supplies?
So, I have a few. I have a drawing board, which I think is really great for anybody who doesn't have space really to work or can't really work at a desk. I honestly just bought this, I don't know, maybe like 6 months ago. And I was like, I don't know why I didn't do this sooner. It really makes a difference. I got one for me. I got one for my daughter. She was so excited about it. So it really is one of those things that if you are living in a small space or, maybe you have roommates and you don't really have extra space to carry all your art supplies in, a whole room, that's definitely one of my favorites. My sketchbook, of course, that's another favorite. I have drawing pens I honestly stayed away from drawing with pens for the longest time because I was so afraid to make mistakes and not be able to change it. So, I didn't do pens for a really long time, and now I pretty much only draw with pens. So if you're like me and you just want to number 2 pencil it, I still have a bunch of number 2 pencils in with all of my pens, and it's totally okay. You'll get to the point where you're just going to be like, you know what? I'm going to go with a pen, and however it works out is how it works out.
I think it's a great idea. I am one of those people with the microfine liners, a whole
Yeah.
handful, and I look at them and I'm like, I want to draw with them, but then I'm gonna make a mistake. But now, yeah,
Yeah.
I just started doing pointillism, and now I'm just like, work it in, work
Oh,
it in.
that's so fun. I love that. Yeah, watercolors too. I think, it's funny is that I was drawn to watercolors, and I personally feel like watercolors are very forgiving. And then I would start speaking to other artists, and they're like, watercolors are not forgiving at all. And I'm just like, how is that possible? You can like take a tissue and soak up all of your mistake and then go over it with a different color. It's very forgiving.
I love them. I use them in a really non-traditional way, and I think maybe those of us, even though I went through art school, I never did watercolors, and I learned them self-taught, like in the last decade. And so I think when you come to it with an experimenting mind and you're curious and you just play, you end up doing all these things, and then other people that have been trained are like, "You're not supposed to do that. It's supposed to be difficult." And you're like, "But
Right.
it's not. It's fun. And if I want to put 10,000 layers, I'm gonna."
Yeah, it's so funny that you say that because I have a friend who's an art teacher, and sometimes when she's around my kids, especially my daughter, because she's very artsy, she'll be like, "No, no, no, don't use black on your painting. Like don't use the black." And I'm just like, just let her do whatever she's gonna do." And I can tell it's like part of her training that's coming out from going to art school and
Yeah.
getting that formal training where they just tell you to do it a certain way or whatever. I mean, I don't really know because I never went to art school. So maybe that's a benefit. But yeah, I totally agree with you.
I think that, and then there's also, at least for myself, and I know people that, I mean, I went to art school in the 80s, so very different time.
Sure.
But there was a real emphasis on technique and doing things a very particular way. Whereas now it's like, just have fun, experiment, play, don't take it all so seriously.
Yep.
And I think that really makes it expand. Um, Tell me, I'm just looking at some of the other things that you listed as favorite supplies that I'd love you to share, because one that I'm really interested in, that I have been recommended many times that I've never tried, is Dorland's wax medium. So tell
Oh
me about that.
yeah. So it's super easy to use. I got it in this little jar here.
Can
For
you hold
the
it just a little higher so we can see?
yeah.
Great. Okay.
Um, there it is. Yeah. So I got it primarily because when I started watercolor painting these postcards, my idea is like I'm going to send them to people. Obviously, why would you paint postcards if you're not going to send them? So then I thought, well, yeah, but if I send them, I kind of felt like, oh, I don't know if you know they're going to get ruined out there in the weather of being in the mail and just out in the open. And I somebody else that I follow online, and I can't even remember her name right now, but there's another artist that does a lot of watercolor painting, and she recommended it. So I got it. And it's basically like you just put a thin layer over I use my finger over your watercolor. And if you drop water on it or anything, it just protects it because it's wax. So like once you're done with your watercolor, it's like a very, it's not like a hard wax, like a candle, but it's like a very soft wax, almost like the consistency of like a coconut oil, but a little bit more waxy,
So it
and
gives you that nice film of protection without,
yeah.
does it dull down the colors or anything? Or is it,
No, I don't think it dulls down the colors, but I noticed that it does slightly change. I feel like it makes them just slightly brighter. It
oh,
doesn't dull them down, but I feel like, yeah, it does make them slightly like more vibrant, I think.
oh,
Yeah.
that's really neat. Okay.
Yeah.
It's another thing I have to try. And the other one, you because I don't think this is, I think this is a store in the States, Grabby, and you said Grabby extra fine tip acrylic markers.
Yeah, yeah. This one I think I got these when I was really more just first starting out.
Ooh,
So
I
it
love the
came in a
rainbow
pack.
pack.
I know, pack like this. It's probably still a little bit more rainbow order. My daughter might have done that. And I liked I like it because it also comes with like a doodle pad with
Oh,
different
cool.
color paper and stuff that you can work with, and a swatch in the front. Oh, this is something I did with these markers on
Oh,
this paper.
wow.
Yeah. So this is
So they
something
go
I did
right
a while
over
ago.
black paper and still give you that nice brightness.
Yeah, yeah, it's really cool. I really enjoy them, and I like to use them with the watercolor also, because sometimes I just want to, put a little bit of like more. I haven't really perfected the art of watercolor, so to get deeper colors, sometimes I'm not so great at that. So sometimes if I use these markers, I can get that more vibrant color, or use a more defined line or something like that with over the watercolor, which is really cool.
Oh, I love that when people mix media and then you get different effects and different vibrancy, or you can tone things down, or oh, I don't know. This is why I do this, because I love the art supplies. Even
Yeah,
though I don't have all of those sorts of things, it's so much fun to hear about what everybody's doing. So question for you. What is your favorite tip when it comes to art supplies or your workspace?
I think that my favorite tip is, and then everybody's probably heard this before, but really genuinely work with what you have. And
Mhm.
when you can, with what you can, and do it that way. Because if you wait until you have all the things you think you want or you think you need or whatever, you'll always want something else. You'll always think you need something else. So just start where you are with what you have. And I think you can just grow from there. Like, I mean, like I said, I'm in a small apartment with other people, and we don't really have a lot of space so sometimes it's really cluttered, but we don't really have a lot of space to have like a big art shelf or anything like that. And it's just a great, yeah, you just do what you can with what you have. I think I saw this video clip recently of a kid somewhere who ran out of art supplies, so he started using things around his apartment. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Because that's something my daughter has done before, where she's like found a bottle of nail polish and painted with the nail polish on a piece of paper or something like that. And he showed like all these beautiful pieces of art, and he used coffee, he used lipstick, he used nail polish, like anything he could find to use. And I'm like, that's the
Yeah.
way. Yeah, that is the way. Because if you're just waiting for it to be perfect or the perfect time, the perfect moment, it's never going to be perfect. You just got to start and play around with it, and just, be accepting of how it turns out.
You know what? I am a big believer in that, of letting go of the perfection after years and years of trying to do photorealistic art and being very concerned and obsessed with perfection, and then just letting it all go. And I think it's such a great time to be an artist, because not only do we have access to so much, but also it's the mindset around art and creating is so much more fun, right? Like
Yeah.
there's this openness and curiosity and ability to play. And like, if you don't have the fancy art supplies, that's okay. Get something else. And it's just a matter of knowing some of the limitations that certain supplies have,
Yep.
and
Yep.
working that to your advantage. I'm
I
just going to
agree.
take a little segue just for a second. I'm getting a really bad feedback. I just want to make sure that's just on my end. Are you getting that as well?
I don't have any feedback.
Okay. I just want to make sure we are able to hear each other.
Yeah.
um, Now, speaking of being creative and doing all the art, what are you working on right now?
Well, I'm working on being consistent with drawing every day, which
Hmm.
is where my sketchbook comes in. I love this sketchbook too. I didn't get to go over it in the art supplies, but I like it because the pages are a little thicker and you can use it for watercolor. That's the reason I bought it, even though I haven't used it for watercolor yet.
Yeah.
But it's just like I just love the feel of the paper. They're thicker. It's got perforated lines, so you can rip the paper out if you want, and it just, everything looks really good in it.
Oh, that's
And
great.
yeah,
What is the brand on that one again?
that's a good question. Hold on
Is
a
it a
second.
is it a Strathmore?
Handy dandy notes. What did I put on there? I don't think it has, I don't think it's a specific brand. Let me see.
Well, it'll be in the
Um,
show notes, so we don't have to worry. I know some
oh, okay,
people
good.
have a lot of brand loyalty when it comes to their art supplies. I don't. So I was just curious.
I don't either. And I just basically use, like I kind of, unless I find something that I really love, I don't necessarily have brand loyalty. I just will I'll pick something and I'll be like this sketchbook. I think this is like the fourth or fifth one I bought. And all of them, I just always look for heavier pages so I could use mixed media. So maybe
Mhm.
alcohol markers don't bleed through or, pen marks don't come through the other side. And I just, like this is the one I've ended up liking the most. Even though all the other ones say that the pages are thick and it doesn't bleed, this is the one.
I think it really comes down to personal preference, right?
Yeah.
And for some of us, getting over the fear of working in a sketchbook, that'd be me. I have all these sketchbooks and I look at them and I'm like, yeah,
Well,
I'm
it's
scared.
become,
I'm scared
I
to muck
know,
it up.
it's become kind of like my nightly routine. I open it up and sometimes I'm sitting down and I'm watching TV with my kids and I'm just like sitting there staring at a blank page and I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And I have a tendency of walking around and taking random pictures of things when I'm like, oh, that looks really cool. Let me shoot a picture of it real quick. So I'll take a picture of I've taken pictures of random things like alleyways. I do mostly flowers and stuff like that, or tree leaves or something where I'll take a picture of it, keep it in my phone roll. And then when I am sitting there at a blank page and I don't know what to draw, I'll scroll through all my pictures and see. Sometimes I'll even try and draw one of my kids, which I'm terrible at drawing humans, but every once in a while you just got to do it so you can get over that and let it go and let it be how it's gonna.
Yeah. And I want to share for anyone who didn't see it, I have two profiles on Substack only because you can't do notes separately. That's the only reason I split things. But on the other profile, which is more my personal art, um, Melissa and I did a live with blind drawing. And if you haven't watched it, have a look. We giggled the whole time. It
I
was
know it was so
so
fun.
much fun. And if you are like me, sometimes you get a little anxious about ruining the sketchbook or not doing stuff. It is such a great warm up because it just lets go of any preconceptions. You're not being perfect. You have to draw with your eyes closed, basically,
Yeah,
and it's just a laugh. So I highly suggest that for anyone else that is looking
it
for
is
a
super
good
fun.
warm
I
up.
would suggest it too. And when I really had such a hard time with like even calling myself an artist for so many years. And I don't even know why. It was like, well, I can't draw a portrait. So clearly I'm not an artist. I think that's where it would come from, where it's like, and I have family members that are artists, like really talented. I had a cousin who had muscular dystrophy and he was an artist until the day he died. Like would draw these phenomenal portraits of people and fantasy scenes and all this stuff. And he was just so amazing with his art and he could barely move his muscles. So it was, it's one of those things where I don't know why I just felt like I couldn't call myself that because of whatever reason. But at this point, it's like, you know what? It's like, I'm going to see how this is going to turn out. And I'm going to let it turn out however I want it to. And I can't even tell you how many times one of my kids bumped my arm while I was drawing. So it's like, you're like, okay, well, my art's not going in the Smithsonian. Maybe it will eventually, but not right now. So what difference does it make?
Oh,
you
look,
know?
another mushroom.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, let me put a little swirl there. That'll look great.
So I'm curious about this because this is something I think about often, which is the perception of what is art, meaning that there is, and I've had this too in my own artistic journey for the last 40 years or whatever, where there is a perception that unless you're doing photorealistic portraits, you're not a quote artist.
Right.
But for me, if somebody is expressing emotion or storytelling or creating a narrative with intention, that's art. And
Yeah.
it doesn't matter the medium.
Right.
Doesn't have to be a particular thing. But I find it very interesting sometimes that I see in certain art groups where people will praise and praise over people that have done a portrait, but yet people that have done, say, abstract art
Mhm.
or something like pointillism that I like to do with ink and pen, it doesn't seem to get as much as a reaction. And I'm curious about your take on that.
You know, it's so funny because I mean, if you look all around, there's really art everywhere.
Mhm.
Designers that make clothes, that's a form of art, and it's like I mentioned before that I used to work with ceramics, and it was like I called it functional art, like I remember just being like, "Oh yeah, I made this bowl. I love functional art." And yet I still wasn't calling myself an artist, you know? I even had done a couple of street fairs with my ceramics, and people came up to me and were like, "This is really fine art." And I was kind of like, "What?" Like I just like, cause I don't know what it was about feeling like I couldn't carry that title. But I agree with you. Like there's like so many different versions of art. I mean, so much. You make bracelets. There's some beading work that I've seen that's completely like you're just like amazed by it. Or I don't know if you've ever seen those people who like um, flatten out bottle caps and then
Oh,
create like
yeah.
a whole picture of a person or a lion or something,
Yeah.
And like all of that is to me, I feel like in any way that you're being creative, it's art, writing poetry, or writing stories, even just writing a book. It's all art. I think that there's a lot of creativity in so many different things that we do that definitely deserves to be noticed as art. But for some reason, maybe it's the way we're taught as kids when, people say the Mona Lisa, that's a work of art.
Yeah.
So I think, I don't know, maybe it's just like something that we're taught that it doesn't, or even like music. I feel like music is such a huge form of art,
Oh,
all of that
absolutely.
creative
Yeah.
stuff. So
I'd say
art is
music.
really like,
I would say mathematics also.
yeah,
And of course, any form of expression through dance or music, or it's all art. But in the visual art field, that's where I'm just always curious because everyone has a different take on it. And I personally don't think there is a right or wrong. I think if you feel that it is an expression of yourself, maybe that's the delineation, right? Maybe it's the intention
yep,
as
I
opposed to
agree.
just creating something. But even that sometimes is art. I don't know. It's a whole other conversation.
It is a whole
Anyway,
other conversation.
so I'm curious, and you've answered a little bit of this already, but what is it about what you're doing and creating that you love so much?
Well, I love that I finally got into a place where I can recognize when I'm making art, when I'm drawing a picture, I'm painting something, that it takes a bit of letting go. We've talked about this already before, but it does take a bit of accepting what's coming out as you're painting or drawing, and letting go of the perfectionism of what you think it should look like and what it actually looks like. And I use a lot of pictures as references. And I have to remind myself that it's never going to look exactly like the picture, and that's okay. It doesn't have to look like the picture, because that's the whole point, is that it is art, and you can go by what's in your mind, and amazing if you can make it look exactly the way you envision it, or you can just use your mind as a reference or a picture as a reference and let it appear the way it's going to. I also like to put like affirmations in my artwork as I'm drawing. I like to put like little things that say, and there's actually a little backstory to this, but it'll say like, "You are magical," or "You are beautiful," or "You are miraculous," or "You are magnificent," or something along those lines. And
Mhm.
it started because I used to be a server for like 25 years. I was a server. I was a career server, and the pandemic kind of just squashed that for me. Plus, I was getting older and I was having a hard time working the long hours and carrying the heavy dishes and all that stuff. So I was kind of ready to move on anyways. But it really started after I had my daughter. She was very clingy as a baby and literally would scream her face off every day I had to go to work for like a year and a half. I mean, it didn't matter if I tried to sneak out the door. We tried everything, distracting her and all this stuff. I would be walking down our steps and I could hear her from like the hallway as I'm leaving. I just hear the wail as soon as she realized I was gone and as I was going to work. And it was just like so heartbreaking for me.
Mm.
And I was going to a server job, and so I ended up, I used to work at this place called Cafe Gratitude. So this went over really well. But I started getting post-it notes and would leave affirmations on my tickets that I would give, like the bill you would give to the table.
Mhm. Yeah.
So I'd print the bill out and I would get a sticky note and write like, you are prosperous, you are beautiful, you can make it happen, or whatever it was, like, you are cherished. And I would stick a sticky note and I would write out a bunch of them before my shift started. And I would stick a sticky note on each bill as I was handing them to the table. And some people were like over the moon about it. Like some people were really touched. Some people were just like, I mean, some people crumpled them up and, threw them out, which was fine too. It's just that's not what it was about.
Yeah.
But some people wrote notes back and it really kind of impacted in a way that incorporated like for years, really, I thought, well, maybe I can like incorporate that into artwork, or
Hmm.
I started actually doing it while I was doing ceramics, where I had these mugs that I called I love you mugs because I would write, I I love or and then there would be like a heart on it, I heart, and then the hearts would go down into the mug. And on the outside of the mug, it would say you, but on the lip. So both of the words were on the lip. On the inside, the I love on the inside, and then on the outside of the mug. I should have brought one out so you could see it, but and the hearts would go down into the cup. So as you drank whatever you were drinking, you could see more hearts.
That's
And
nice.
yeah, it was really cute. Actually, kind of broke all my I love you mugs, but I still have a couple of be love mugs, which were kind of similar, and they were just like, I loved making them and I loved giving them to people. And for a while I was selling them out of the gift shop area of the cafe I worked at. But yeah, it, I haven't been able to make any more of those, but that's kind of how it started. And then the affirmations after my daughter was born and the sticky notes. And I just always wanted to add it to, and I thought, wouldn't it be great if like somebody had a piece of art and it said, I love you in it or something along those lines, or like
Hmm.
a really nice message. I mean, I'm sure you could put like naughty messages in there too, but so
Okay, so here's a question for you. Are they visible or is it worked into the art so it's almost a
Well,
subliminal?
I feel like you could see them. Some of them they get harder to see depending on what I made, but I could probably show you one. I also just really love words and art and stuff. So this is one of my favorites. I think I gave you this picture, right?
Can you just lift it a little bit higher so we can see?
You guys see the you are. I think it's magical.
Pretty. I love
Yeah.
the mushrooms.
I know, I like that one. It's one of my favorites. But I also did one that was more like let me see if I can find it. It was like a tree where this one. And I had this idea where I wanted to like kind of write a poem, but in in a way that had pictures to it.
Yeah.
Like
So
all the
pretty.
words would kind of come together in a poem. So that was kind of like a fun thing, and I feel like I would explore that more. And I think it's fun because words can be art also, like there are some
Oh,
words that are
absolutely.
just fantastic words. And I love being able to have like words and art incorporated together. I love seeing that whenever I go to street fairs or
Yeah.
art fairs or something like that. If somebody's got like words inside their art, I'm drawn to it so much more. I just think it's really cool.
I think it's the storyteller in you. I love stories. And it's something I've always been very attuned with as well. Um which is when you're creating the art, whether you're doing it with intention or if you're just playing, the environment that you have around you, if you are listening to a certain type of music or audiobooks, that all becomes part of the process, the creative
Mhm.
energy of whatever it is that you're working on. So I'm always fascinated by the fact that everyone creates art in their own unique way.
Mhm.
And I'm glad you introduced this to me because it's something I haven't done in years, and now my ideas are going, and I
Yeah, I
want to
love
get
that.
out and
Yeah,
play
that's
some
so
more. And
great.
um, so, what is it that you're working on at the moment? Are you just doing like your daily practice, or are you working on a larger piece, or do you have a
Um,
lot happening at one time?
I'm just doing I know I do kind of do. I'm doing my daily practice. That's a big thing. I have this, like, I don't know if you'll be able to see it. This is kind of an idea, also number 2 pencils. It says love letters on it, and it was just an idea to have, a bunch of envelopes with letters and hearts around. And I thought it would be like a fun kind of Valentine's Day postcard or something like that. Like, I'm sending you love letters. Haha, they're letters
There
on
you
the
go. You've got your
alphabet.
Patreon all ready to go.
Right, But
That's
yeah,
awesome.
so stuff like that. I haven't worked on any bigger pieces because, truth be told, I'm scared to work on bigger pieces. I don't know if you could see behind me. There's some, um,
Yeah, I was going to ask if are these all of yours that are on the wall?
no, these aren't. So this one with the trees, it's a good friend of mine from working at Renaissance festivals, and she is just such a whimsical artist. Like, all of those are hers. All of those 4 right there, those are all hers. And that clown you can see there, that was my cousin who had the muscular dystrophy. That was his last
Right.
portrait that he did. But so all of the stuff that we have up for the most part is like art that I've either collected from around, or maybe I knew the artist or something. But my friend Renee, who's done these over here, is a big inspiration for like my art. I just always look at her art and just think, she's so cool. She does like mermaids and stuff like that. And I don't know. Whenever I look at it, I'm like, I love her stuff. I think, if I were to do something bigger, I don't know what I would do. Maybe I would do some kind of tree or something, or some whimsical outdoor, I don't know. Who knows? Fantasy, something, but I'm scared to do the big stuff. I haven't done that yet.
Well, the fun thing is sometimes we get intimidated by the size of things, but then if you look at some, and this is something I didn't know, because I'm not going to say I had this knowledge up until a couple days ago, but I was doing some research on pigments and whatnot. And I was watching an art history video, and not one of the stodgy ones, one of the very sardonic ones where they turned it into a skit because it's so funny. And they were talking about Vermeer, who most people know as the girl with the pearl earring.
Mhm.
And she was actually talking about, now of course I forgot the name of the painting, but it's a quite a famous one of a milkmaid. And so it was kind of about the scandalous back history of who the milkmaids represented. Not all of them were, but a lot of them. There was some stuff happening. I'll find the link and put it in the newsletter with this. Um, but the painting is this big.
Oh my gosh.
And so people see them
Yeah.
um, and think that they're these gargantuan masterpieces that are in the Louvre and whatnot. But even, of course, we all know the Mona Lisa small. But when I found out that these Vermeer paintings were tiny, I was like, what?
I know,
I had
right?
no
Yeah.
idea. And it's really interesting because when you let go of all those preconceptions around what we think we need to do or what we have to do to be a quote unquote artist, and you find your comfort spot with this is how I like to work. This is the size that I like. These are the art supplies I like. Maybe I like them today, maybe I don't tomorrow. Maybe I'll try this other thing. And
Yeah.
then it all just explodes and there's no more anxiety about it,
Yep.
Like you're just
I think
creating
that's it.
for the love of creating.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that you put it that way. There's no more anxiety about it. There've been moments where I have sat down and started drawing, and sometimes I will purposely pick something to draw that I know, I'm like, there's no way this is going to look anything like my reference picture. And I'll like work through it, because you have those feelings sometimes when you're just like doing something, you're like, oh, that's not the way it's supposed to be, that's not the way it is. And you
Yeah.
could feel like that buildup of like angst over it.
Yep.
And then like you just sometimes like if you just continue, like for me, I just have to take a deep breath and look at it and just continue. And just it's almost like if you're taking one little step at a time, just continue, just keep going. And eventually that feeling goes away and you may find that it becomes like your favorite piece, and you're just like, wow, I can't even believe that I finished that, number one, or number two, that like it looks as good as it does. But I really feel like when you get to that point where you're getting so frustrated and you're just like, this is not happening the way I want it to, and you actually just let it go and you surrender to how it's going to turn out, you'll find that you may love it so much more when it's actually finished.
Oh, exactly. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing all of these things with us today, your process and all the tools that you're using. And the thing that I love the best is that you're just doing it in your house and making it work in the space that you have. And it's just a reminder to, if anybody's watching or reading the newsletter or listening to the podcast when this comes out, it's just a reminder that you don't have to have the perfect thing. You don't have to have the particular I don't know if people are seeing things on TikTok because I don't do TikTok, but if you're seeing something on social media that is the art supply or the technique or this is the way or the promise of if you do it this way, you're going to make all these sales. Well, you know what? Just do you. You'll be so much happier.
And you truly will be. You truly will be. As somebody who's had that mindset for a very long time and just have recently been like, you know what? I'm just going to do it the way I do it. That's how it's going to be. And be okay with it. And you'll find the things that you love and you'll find the things you don't love and you'll expand on the things that you love. And maybe you'll even start, trying new things that you're not sure if you love or not, and it'll just all expand into what it's supposed to be. And I think it's great. I think it's all good. As long as everybody's just still making art or at least trying to be creative in some way,
have fun. Take the pressure off.
Have fun.
Make some stuff that you enjoy. It's all good.
That's right. Yeah. It makes the world a better place. The world needs more art. That's what I keep saying.
Yes, I agree. Thank you so much for being here today. Oh, the cat's doing the cat bomb. Gotta love it.
Sunshine. Sunshine's here to send us off.
Hey, Sunshine. I think it should be a requirement now. I got to have the studio cat bomb.
I know, right? She's my 19-year-old lady, so she gets to pretty much do whatever she wants.
As she should. As she should.
That's right. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm glad you came on, and I'm really excited to share the newsletter with all your pictures on Friday with everybody. All right. Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon. And hey, guys, don't forget to check out the Artful Desk, which is at artfuldesk.substack.com. Thanks for hanging out. I'm Tanya, and I will catch you guys in the next episode. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.